I'm Dave Nicholas. I'm a retired accountant. I'm 68 years old. Can hardly believe it. You guys can't even think in those terms. But it does happen. It happens a lot faster than you think it will. But I serve on the board of Covenant. And Randy asked me if I would come and talk to you folks a little bit about how money works. And I wished I had heard what I'm going to tell you tonight when I was your age. Unfortunately, I didn't learn it till much later in life. But I'm just going to give you a few basic principles about how money works and how you can make it work for you down the road. I mean, how many here want a better life? Anybody here want a better life? I've never met anybody that really doesn't want a better life. And there's certain basic principles that we all have to kind of live by in order for that to happen. So today we're going to talk about that a little bit, and hopefully when you walk away from here, you'll have a much better sense, a much better picture, a vision of what your life ahead is going to look like, at least from a financial standpoint. Okay, so if you don't learn anything else tonight, learn this. These are really basic principles. Spend less than what you make. Okay. If you spend more than what you make, what's going to happen? You're going to be broke, and you're going to be in debt, and lots of bad stuff's going to happen, right? So spend less than what you make. That's a really basic principle. It's hard to grasp that as a young person because there's so many things that you want to do and you want to have and you want to buy and all that kind of stuff, and there never seems to be enough to go around. There's always too much month left at the end of the money, right? How many of you work for a living? You all have jobs? Most of you have jobs? So you understand how that works. You work for somebody so much per hour, but by the time you get your paycheck, it starts here and you get here, right? You get a whole lot less because of taxes and that type of thing that are taken out. Okay, so whatever you bring home, you have to have the mindset that you're going to spend less than what you make. Second thing is, get into the habit of saving something. It doesn't make any difference how much it is. Little amount. I'm going to show you something a little bit later that even a small amount saved over a long period of time can add up to a whole bunch of money. And this is really not about money as it is much about having a better life and being able to do the things that you want to do both now and in the future. Third thing, you got to do it over a long period of time. And as a 68-year-old, one thing I wished I had done is learn this 40 years ago. Because if I had learned this 40 years ago, I'd be in a lot better shape than I am today, right? So these are the three things that I want you to walk away with. Okay, so we're gonna talk about each one of these a little bit, just so you can kind of get an idea. I don't want to drill too deep into some technical stuff for you. I want to keep it kind of fairly high and fairly easy for you to grasp. But one of the first things that I want to talk to your dreams. Do you ever sit down and think about what are your dreams? This represents a typical American life, okay, where you've got husband and a wife or two people together, right? And they have responsibilities. Okay, they have a job. They have to get up in the morning or get up in the middle of the night, in the case of some people, and go to work and be responsible and show up and do a good job and you know, be a good citizen. So they got to have a job. You got to have a place to live. Got to have a house. Got to maintain, whether you rent or whether you buy. You got to have a place to live, and that takes money. You got to have things that cost money: cars, appliances, furniture, things like that. You got to have that kind of stuff, and that's all part of providing a lifestyle that you. This over here is children, right? We have children here, and that's good. I mean, most American families have an average of a couple of kids and so forth, and that's what makes it up. The other thing that's mostly overlooked is this thing called a 401k plan. That's a retirement plan. Now, when you're my age, you think more about retirement than you do about the weekend. Okay, I spent a lot of years wondering if I'd have enough money for the weekend, right? And I get that. I understand that. But all of these things together kind of add up to the life that we all live. So, what are your dreams? When you think about yourself 20 years down the road, what do you think of? That's a question. What do you think? What do you think of? Or have you thought about it? Have you thought about it in these terms at all? So much? Yeah, kind of, maybe. Does that represent a better life for you if you had all that stuff and the ability to take care of it, what kind of dreams do you have? You want to live in a big house? Want to drive a big fancy car? Want to take a big vacation? What do you want to do? What are some of the dreams that you think about? White picket fence? Or do you think about that stuff? Do you think about that stuff? I think we all need to have a dream. We need to have a vision of what is a better life, and then we gotta do what's necessary in order to get to that better life. Okay, it's not easy. It takes hard work to do it. Anybody want to volunteer? Better life.
Start a job, a business.
A business? Want to own your own business? Yeah. Okay. That's a good dream to have. I own my own business, and there was a lot of good stuff about it. I had a lot of freedom about it, but there was a lot of responsibility. But that was okay. That's what I wanted, so that's what I did. Anybody else have any ideas of what you want to do?
A house big enough to make my garden grill.
Okay.
I love gardening, and I have a little apartment patio that I can't
Yeah.
really do a lot with.
Okay. You want a house with
A backyard.
some space around it, so
Yard.
you can do some stuff. A yard, a garden, yeah, vegetable garden. You're not quite there yet, are you? Or are you?
We're growing strawberries right now, but like
That's
I said, I
pretty
have
good.
a patio, so they're all
Oh.
in gallon pots, as
Yeah.
big as I can get it.
I was talking earlier about the job I had in Idaho, and what kept me going until 10 o'clock at night is I lived with my aunt and uncle. She had a garden that was about 40 by 40. And my job after I got done working on the ranch was to go out there and do this for 2 hours. Get rid of the weeds and
I wish I could do that.
well, some people love doing that, I burned out on it, so I don't do it anymore. But, so anyhow, this is kind of what a dream life looks like, and you kind of need to be thinking about those things. And it might seem out of reach for you right now, but it is possible. Now, part of building a better life is how do you allocate your spending? So this is another basic print. I don't want you to get lost in all the detail of this, but the things I want you to look at is there's 3 basic areas you're going to spend money. One of them is for your living. That would be for your home and your transportation and food and that kind of thing, medical care and that kind of thing. A second part of that is what I call lifestyle, meaning the things that you like to do. You might want a little fancier car than maybe you could afford. You might want to take a little nicer trip. You want to live in a bigger house. They're just things that are what I call lifestyle, things that we really like to do that cost more than probably we should spend, right? Then the third part, and we're not gonna spend too much time on this, but it's important to understand that when we think about that dream life, we have to think about the essentials, and that is things like savings for the future. You gotta have 2 kinds of savings. You need to have a short-term savings, and you need to have a longer-term savings. Short-term savings would be for something that comes up like a car repair, or a medical bill, or a house repair, something like that. You need to have a little bit of money in there. And then you have to have a longer-term saving, which is really more for retirement and that type of thing, or for making a down payment on a home. So all these things just have to happen. So these 3 areas are real important. Now, what I suggest to people, and this is not right, there's no right or wrong on this, but I say to them when you bring home your paycheck, let's say it's $1,000 net, well, that you bring home because it's easy to do the math. Like this. 50% of that's going to go in just living. Okay, so you're going to take $500 and you're going to use that for things like food and beverages and medical and recreation and getting all kinds of stuff that you just do normally in life. Okay. Another 30% you could set aside for lifestyle. And when I say lifestyle, I'm talking about bigger, brighter, shinier, fancier, sparklier, dining out. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, and they said they didn't have any money to, they had nothing left over at the end of the month. And I said, well, let's talk about how you spend your money. So we went through a day at a time. I said, how do you spend? Well, I stop at Starbucks on my way to work, and I probably spend $5 or $6 there, and then I go out for lunch, and I have one of those great big Coke things, and then on my way home I stop at someplace else and have a beer or whatever. And so I said, so how much would you estimate you spend on a daily basis for just stuff like that? He said, oh, probably $10 or $12. Well, $10 or $12 to me times 30 days a month is how much? $360. So I said, well, you don't have to cut out all of it. Let's say you just cut out half of it. Well, now you've got $180 sitting over here that you could do something with, right? So if he reduced his lifestyle just a little bit, then he could have $180. Then I said, well, how do you spend your money during the week? And he said, well, I have a family, I've got 2 kids, and we go out. And I said, how many times a week you go out? Well, probably 4 times a week. And I said, and I'll bet you don't spend less than $50 at a time, do you? He said, no, it's normally it's more than that with kids. You know, it's just what it takes anymore to eat out. I said, so what would happen if you just eliminated 1 time a week and only went out 3 times a week? Well, now you got $50 times 4 weeks, so that's another $200. So now we got $180, and we got a $200, and now we got $380. All of a sudden, we found $380 of stuff that's just kind of being not wasted, but just fits into because we like to do it, right? So you have to kind of redirect your spending a little bit, and then that $380, then we can put it into some kind of a savings program where they can begin to have those kinds of things. So that's just kind of general. When you spend your money, just kind of allocate it that way, but don't forget this part right up here. Get into the habit of saving if you can. Okay? I don't know what that is. It's a blank page. Well, this is just my example, but I said $1,000, so you just allocate it that way, so we won't spend any time on that. Another thing I mentioned earlier about saving over a long period of time. This is just an example, and I won't drill down too deep into it, but when you reach a certain level in life, you'll be able to save $500 a month, $400 a month. Sounds like a lot, but you will reach that point, trust me. You work hard, you do your job, you'll be able to. So if you saved $400 a month or $5,000 a year, started at age 25, some of you are younger than 25, I imagine. But let's say you start at 25, in 40 years, you will have invested this amount of money and you'll have $2.2 million. Now, could you live on that? Yeah, probably.
Half of the money was just that right there.
That's right, that's right. That's why I like to talk to you guys, because if you get started early, I mean, these kind of things can happen. Now, if you wait 2 years, importance of time, so instead of starting at age 25, you start at age 27, then you'll have saved $10,000. Remember, you won't have 2 years at $5,000, so you will save $10,000. But look what it costs you on the end. That's the magic of the compounding over time, guys. So that's a real important concept. To just kind of, you don't have to know how it works. Just understand that compounding is real important.
You had the rule 72 in this?
You know the rule of 72? Wow.
Interest rates?
You know how many people I talk to that don't know the rule of 72? Like 9 out of 10. Good for you. Yeah, it's coming up. Impact of taxes, and again, you're probably not too concerned about taxes, but I will tell you that it has a significant impact on how you're going to have a better life down the road. So just 3 buckets. One of them is they tax it as you earn it. The second one is tax deferred, and the one is tax exempt. The best place to be, would you think would be probably tax exempt? I mean, if you don't ever have to pay tax on it, would that be pretty good? I mean, if you let it grow tax free, and then you can pull it out tax free, that'd be pretty good. Find out what those are as you mature and as you grow. Those kinds of things will be important to you. But again, just understand that there's 3 buckets in all of that. Now, as you get older, the good news is when you're younger, you have a lot of responsibility. Remember the chart we had with a business and the house and all that stuff? A lot of responsibilities and probably not a lot of money. I remember those days. But what happens is, as you get older, your responsibilities go down. Kids grow up, houses get paid off, you pay off your cars, and you get your retirement funded. So your responsibilities are less, and your wealth grows along with it. So this is the sweet spot in life, what we're all looking for down the road. So that, again, just understand that it gets better over time. So let's, I think I took the rule of 72. I took the rule of 72 out of there. At least one of you knows what, anybody else know what the rule of 72 is? You know who Albert Einstein is? You ever heard the name Albert Einstein? He invented the rule of 72. He invented a lot of stuff.
Some compound interest.
Compound interest, that's exactly what it is. And most of us that, have gone to school and come out of school, hi, welcome.
Hello.
Have gone to school, we remember Einstein's most famous formula. Anybody know it? E equals,
MC squared.
yeah. Thanks for being here. None of these other guys knew that. E equals MC squared. But how many times have you used that in your life? Not too many. The rule of 72 is interesting because what it says is you take the number 72 and you divide it by the amount of interest that you earn on your savings account. So let's say you make 1% on your savings account. You put it in the bank and they pay you 1%, okay? You divide 1% into 72 and that tells you approximately how many years it'll take your money to double. So how old are you?
23.
23. Okay, so 23, and in 72 years, he'll be 95. So he puts $1,000 in today. When he's 95, it'll be worth $2,000. How's that feel? It's not good, is it? So now let's take an example where maybe you get 10% on your money, just to make it easy to do the math. Okay, so you went someplace. By the way, if you go to a credit union or a bank, how much interest are they paying you on a savings account? Does anybody know?
Nothing.
Less than half of 1%. So in some cases, I've seen as low as 1/10 of 1%. So if you use the rule of 72 there, then your money will double in 720 years. Okay, so unless your name is Methuselah, chances are pretty good you're not going to get to it. So anyhow, let's say it's 10%, right? So now you got this number 72, divide 10% into 7. So now your money's going to double every 7.2 years. So your $1,000 in 7 years becomes 2,000. 2,000 in 7 years becomes 14, 28. You got it? So if by the time you're ready to retire, your money will have doubled a number of times. That's the magic of compounding, and that's Einstein's favorite invention of all time. You know what the rule of 115 is? Money will triple by your interest rate. Now you know.
Yeah. I've seen it on chart.
Now, we're going to play some games here. So now, before you came in and learned some of these basic principles, I referred to you as uninformed. Now you're informed. You know some stuff. So let's play some games here. Let's say you have an initial investment of $1,000. You don't add anything to it in daily savings. You keep having your Starbucks and all that stuff, right? You don't add anything to it. So your monthly investment is 0. Tax rate doesn't make any difference, right? I mean, we just talked about if you have a tax rate, you want to keep it as low as possible. So you don't have any money invested. So at the end of 40 years, you'll have $1,000. Okay, does that so far that makes sense, right? Let's say, just for fun, you could save $1 a day. This thing worked perfectly before. Isn't it great? Because I don't have it in the right box. That's why. There we go. $1 a day. So that's $30 a month. We're going to put it into something that you don't pay any tax on. You like that idea? No tax. Okay. We're going to earn 7%. We're going to put it into something that pays a little over 1% management fee. At the end of 40 years, you'll have $54,000. Is that better than that? It's a little better, isn't it? Would you rather have that? $1 a day for 40 years. Is that something you can do? Probably. Give me another number here. Give me something you think you might be able to do.
$5.
Huh?
$5.
$5. Not too bad. Now, what would you have to give up to save $5 a day?
Food.
Food? Well, maybe.
Snacks, not actual
Depends.
snacks.
Well, yeah, you know, it depends on what it is, but most of us can find a couple of bucks a day if we're disciplined about it and set it aside. But over the long haul, it's pretty cool. So one of our examples that we used was what? About $400 a day, right? So let's just pick a number here and say we're going to save $15 a day. That's really what it takes in order to do a Roth IRA or kind of an investment. So now we're talking about some real money over time. It takes discipline, it takes hard work, right? But I'm suggesting to you that it can be done. As you begin to mature and grow and make more money and so forth, you will be able to do that. Because the opportunities are great, and I'm convinced that you will be able to do that. Any questions on that? Is that pretty cool?
So the Roth IRA, would you be able to get a 12%?
You could. I have accounts that are making more than that right now, but that's just because we're in a good time. But for the most part, we can normally get somewhere between 7 and 10% fairly comfortably. Now over here, I want you things to think about. Start early, right? Get started as early as you can. Be consistent every day, every day, every day. Be tax smart so we can get this deal down here. Pay attention to the amount of interest that you're paying. So if you're gonna, remember Einstein's rule, you put it in a credit union or something, you're not gonna get very much. Find some place where you can put your money where you can get a higher rate of return. The better rate of return you get, the faster your money will double, right? And don't pay too many fees down here. You need to find something that's kind of in this area. If you're gonna put it with an investment firm, do that. Nice thing about a bank is they don't charge you fees to invest your money, but you need to find some place where you can put it. And if you have questions on that, just talk to me and I'll direct you in that direction. Okay, so those are just some things, but I mean, the important thing is you don't want to be here when you're my age. You'd rather be here, and I'm not. All right. Oh, there it is. I didn't show up on there. There it is. We just talked about the rule of 17. I'm not going to bore you with that again, but it's kind of an example. We talked about that. We talked about that. Couple last things I just want to cover with you. Just things to kind of think about. Iceberg. You know what are some of the characteristics of an iceberg?
They look smaller on top than they are.
Yeah, by a substantial amount. There could be 10 times the amount of iceberg under the water as there is on top, right? So this example talks about kind of an iceberg illusion. The success in our life is really what people see here. What you see in me is a guy that's lived 68 years, reasonably successful at what I've done. I give credit mostly to the Lord in my life because I learned basic financial principles from the Bible very early on. And that's my filter that I use in life to figure out how to live my life properly. But what people see here is what they see. What they don't see is everything that I've gone through to get to this point. Now, I'm not telling you guys anything. You could tell me stories that I haven't lived. But down here is where this happens. Persistence, you stay with it. Steady plodding brings prosperity, right? That's a proverb. Steady plodding. We all fail, guys. I mean, I failed a number of times. The key to that is don't give up. pick yourself up, dust yourself off. There's only two things. I don't really believe in failure. I believe that there's winning and there's learning. So when something doesn't go the way you expect it to, learn from it, right? Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. There's a lot of sacrifice. We talked about that. You know, give up the Starbucks, give up the big soda pop, whatever it happens to be in your life. Find places where you can save a little bit of money. Sacrifice. There is disappointment. Be dedicated to the long-term vision of what you have. That's why I asked you early on, what are your visions? If you're not clear on your vision, as one guy told me one time, if you can't see your target, you have a heck of a time hitting it, right? So as you go along, think about the things that are important to you and what you want your life to be like, and then just work towards it. It does take hard work and develop good habits. So what people see up here is the result of what you're gonna do down here. The last thing I want to share with you is do what you love. If it's sweeping floors in a bakery, do that. If it's not, then if it's owning your own business, do that. Find something that you love. But the pieces here, get your spiritual life under control. I was fortunate at a young age that I came to know Christ, and I have built upon that knowledge and wisdom. Actually, He's built it into my life over time as I've experienced different things. But I have a spiritual life. I have a family. I am married. I have a daughter. She's a singer. Lives in New York. She has her own rock band, of all things. She went to school and got her master's degree in opera. And the next week, she formed her own rock band. so I got that going for me. But she's pretty good at what she does. It's not my kind of music, but she's good at what she does, and it's fun. So that's my family. They mean the world to me. There's a physical part of what we do. Find something that, you know, keeps you active, keeps you busy.
What's the name of the band?
Oh, the Emily Danger Band. Yeah, Emily Danger Band. She just got off a 2-month tour with another band. It was funny, they hired her to play the keyboards for them, and a couple of gigs in, the guy said, do you think you could do harmony? She says, yeah, I think I can. So, I mean, here she is classically trained, and so they traveled all over the country for 2 months. It was fun. We went to be with them a couple of times. It was fun. It's great, and she's having a ball. So there's a physical part of our life that we need to do. In my case, I meet most of my potential clients and customers on the golf course. I play golf. I've always played golf. I enjoy it. It gets me out. I meet people. That's what I do. So whatever yours is, maybe it's bicycle riding, or I don't know what it is. Something that keeps you active and keeps you busy and keeps you engaged in the community. And then there's the financial piece, and that's what we're talking about. So find something that you love and blend all these together. And then what happens is that when you do that, you find your sweet spot in life. You're doing what you love. It doesn't feel like work. You go every day because you love doing it, and oh, by the way, they pay you, right? That's when you're in your sweet spot in life, and it's just great. It's just great. So I would encourage you to think about some of those things. To wrap up, here's what I want you to take away. Spend less than what you make, right? Think you can find some ways to do that? Doesn't have to be a lot. We did $1 a day, right? Doesn't have to be a lot. But get in the habit of saving and setting it aside. Save and invest the difference. Find some place where you can save it, where it grows. And if you access of the rule of 72, do that, because your money will double. Now all of a sudden, in addition to you working hard, your money's working hard. And now all of a sudden you've got this going on, right? It's cool. And start now. How else to say it to you? Start as early as you can in life, as hard as it is. As hard as it is. Questions? Any comments? Any questions?
I have a question. If we wanted to do the investment, how you said the $1 a day, where could we go to set that up?
Well, to start with, because it's a fairly small amount, so the interest that you earn on it's not going to be a big deal. If it was me, I'd find a piggy bank or something like that and do that initially until you get a certain amount of money saved up in there, and then you can go someplace. I mean, you can go to the bank. Most of your banks will open you up an account for $100 for you, $50, whatever. They're not going to pay you very much, But what you need to do is just keep adding that, and when you get more money, then go talk to an investment broker, okay? Once you get a certain amount of money, then they will talk to you.
What would be the minimal amount of money that you should save before you start the account?
$10 a month. I know a place that'll take
I
10.
mean, like, what would be a good lump sum to take to start that account with? Like $1,000?
It doesn't have to be that much. No, I mean, I know, as I say, I know a place that you could open up an account and start saving $10 a month.
Right.
And what happens is they do it automatically. I mean, it's all done, you know, with your computer or your smartphone or whatever you happen to have to be able to do that. So but again, it's all about the habit of doing it, you know, doing it over and over and over again. Persistence.
Repetition.
Yeah, absolutely. Steady plodding brings prosperity. You know, that's what it is. And once you get the habit set, then it's okay. Other thoughts, other comments,
So
questions?
Is that account like an annuity or? Is it
No.
something else?
No, it's a managed fund that's done online. If you're interested, I'll tell you about it. Yeah, because it's pretty easy to do, and what I have people doing is they've set it up so that every month they send $10, $50, $100 in every month, and then they forget about it. It's automatic. They have it taken out right at the beginning when they get their paycheck, comes out. They don't even think about it. It's not there.
The rate of return on that account?
I've got some in that account over the last year that are doing 15%.
The average for people?
That's pretty good. I mean, it doesn't always happen that way. Last year, 2016, wasn't that good. But even at that, they were doing 5-6%. This year happens to be good. The stock market's done pretty well, and depending on how much you want to put in the market. So it's kind of it's an interesting way to do things if you're interested in getting started with something like that.
It's a gamble, for a good gamble.
Yeah. I mean, you can lose money in those things. But we haven't, at least not now.
Another question. What's the name of your company?
My company?
Yes.
My company's Transamerica,
Okay.
but I'm not allowed to tell you that.
Yeah.
They get me in trouble if I do. But I'm not here to sell you anything, guys. I'm really not. I do this because my business, you know, we were talking about the sweet spot in life. My business is my ministry. It's what I do. I do more stuff like this than I ever get paid for. I make a little bit of money, but it's not why I do it. It gives me the tools to be able to help people if they need it. But Lord's taking good care of me. My wife and I are doing fine. She's a retired teacher. I would highly recommend marrying a teacher if you're guys or gal, because when they retire, they send you this money every month. Every month they send it to you. It's good. Pays the green fees, you know, all that stuff. So, anything else? Any other questions? Thanks for your attention. You can go watch the basketball game now. We're done. Thank you.